What's going on, brothers and sisters around the world? It's your boy Terrell with the Y Humphrey, and welcome to another episode of Fair Use Knowledge. Here at Fair Use Knowledge, we empower people to become the best version of themselves by doing what we love to do. For episode number 54, we got my special guest, my brother Elijah Surall. What it do, man? How you doing?
How you doing, my brothers?
Man, I'm good, man. Before we get started, so what I like to do, I like to have people introduce themselves, tell them what they do and where they from. So who are you, what do you do, and where you from?
All right. Well, my name is Elijah Surall. You actually pronounced my last name right. A lot of people don't know how to say it. But I'm out here in San Diego now. I'm originally from San Jose, California. I grew up in the Central Valley in a city called Manteca. Went to Fresno State for college after that, and started my first business when I was 22. Did that for about 5-6 years, and now I'm in the finance industry out in San Diego, La Jolla specifically. I'm in the wealth management industry, so we help our clients with everything from risk, so making sure they have proper insurance in place for life insurance, protecting their income, long-term care type stuff. We help them with planning for their future. So if you're looking to purchase a home or a new car, just anything that you're looking for information on as far as finances, investments. We cover everything under the sun when it comes time to money. So I'm glad that we could get on today. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me, what I do.
Okay. And man, that's you say you started your first business at 22. What was the first business?
So little backstep, I had put myself through college. So I moved out when I was 17 years old. That's when I started college. And I was working anywhere between 3 part-time jobs up to a full-time job and a part-time job, like working nights. And a lot of those jobs that I have been working were in the car industry. So I was working at different dealerships, just around everything in that industry. And what I did was start my own car detailing business when I was 22. So I started that out of the trunk of my 1998 Toyota Camry, literally just the trunk. And then from there, I was able to continue growing that business to the point to where I was able to get into my full senior year where I was working for myself. Because that was the biggest thing. I was always fighting for time as well as money. So the only way that I could have money is if I was giving all my time away. But the whole point of me being in school was, or being in Fresno was so I could finish school. So I had to find a way to, make sure that I was making my money, but also had time to devote to my books. So starting a business was literally the only way I was able to do that. And then from there, I grew my business. So started with just detailing, doing simple stuff. And I just invested in that, kept getting more equipment to, provide better value to people. And eventually that got to the point to where I started doing window tinting, which I actually came to San Diego for to get trained on. And then after that, I started doing vinyl wrapping and customizing. So getting into doing wheels and tires, as well as like custom brake calipers, all that kind of stuff. So that was the business side, but I was doing that at the same time I was the lead financial coach at my college. So when I was in Fresno, I was also the lead financial coach. So I had the full 25,000 students and staff as my caseload. So we do presentations, go into classrooms, just educate students on the resource that they had available to them, help people figure out, what kind of resources they could get as far as financial aid, on-campus type of jobs, off-campus jobs. A lot of people trying to figure out how to get their first apartment or, buy a house after they finish their master's program. So it was cool because everything came full circle for me.
Wow. See, first off, my brother Chandler, he said that boy sharp. That man is sharp. He complimented you, man.
Thank you.
Second off, and what I came to learn is that every time somebody has some type of entrepreneur spirit or want more for themselves, first thing that we start off at is in the car industry.
Yeah.
So when I started my journey back in I think it was 2019. I can't remember, but it was around 2019 when I started washing cars. So I'm in the military.
Yeah.
So for some reason, something just dawned on me. I'm like, oh, people need their car washed. Instead of going off base, they can just come here. I can just wash their cars. So really, it became like an idea brought to life, right?
Absolutely.
So as I'm washing the cars, I really was undercharging my service because I didn't know what to charge. I didn't do no research, I didn't do no marketing analysis, I didn't do nothing there. I just started and I went, and I was pretty good. Now, Elijah, you know how the car be all junky and messed up, and to where you gotta actually put some detail into it.
Yeah,
bro. The car came when I got done with it. The car was like it freshly got off the lot. You feel me? So,
absolutely.
so it was natural because I seen something what a lot of people didn't want to do. So I'm like, why not do it?
That's the
Why
best
not do it?
businesses. That's the
Yeah,
best businesses.
bro. I kid you not. Guess what my name? Guess what the I called that name of the service that I was providing.
I ain't even got it.
The journey of a car wash.
The journey of a car wash. It will take you some places. I promise you. Absolutely. And people they underestimate the power of doing something so simple but so impactful. Everybody got a car. Like how many cars you see on the road today?
Bro, countless. I don't even know.
At least one of them needs somebody to clean it. I promise you. I promise you.
And you know what's so amazing about realizing something like that? Because you brought it up. I'm like, dang, I really forgot. I started my journey washing cars.
Yeah.
A lot of times we are afraid to even try things because we don't know the outcome of it, right?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to know the answer. We're not supposed to know, okay, if I do this, this is gonna come from me. If I do this, this is why I'm doing it. Well, of course you're supposed to know why, but what we focus on is fear, and when we focus on fear, that stops us from succeeding. Right.
Completely.
So how did you start believing yourself? You said that you did it at 17. What made you say, okay, I need to do something for myself. Let me do this. Let me go this way. What made you believe in that? What made you believe in yourself to say that you can actually do this?
So for me, I was in a situation where I had no choice but to believe in myself. So I
Mm,
graduated high school when I was 17 years old, and a month after that, my dad had a brainstem stroke. So
mhm,
my whole summer after graduating high school, getting ready to go to college, being excited about that, staying in the hospital with my dad. And it
mhm,
was a situation where, he was said that he was going to be a complete vegetable, 0% chance of recovery, supposed to be on a breathing tube and feeding tube for the rest of his life. And it was a situation where, my mom had 3 kids. My parents have been together for 27 years now, I want to say, 1996. So right around that mark. And, my mom was taking care of my dad. She stayed at the hospital with him every single day. She never left the hospital. So I was in a position where I have a twin brother and I have a younger sister. And my brother didn't have his license yet. So I was taking care of them at home, whatever they needed to get taken care of. And then also driving back and forth to the hospitals to make sure that my mom was solid. So me getting into college, I moved out to college on my own. I was the first generation college student also. So entering a whole different environment where I didn't know anybody really out there. I also didn't
mhm.
have anybody to look up to in the sense of, what is it to be a university student. And then on top of that, figuring out adulthood, because I was only 17 when I moved out.
Yeah.
So what had me believe in myself was really just the power of the miracle of my dad. So he was able to get out of the hospital after 45 days. He was a complete miracle. Like that was just nothing but a work of God right there. And it wasn't even me believing in myself. It was me believing in God at a whole completely different level to where it's like, whenever I get to God, he just already showed me what he can do. Like these people told me my dad was going to die and that he would never walk again. He would never talk again. And the first thing that he said when he could start speaking again was my name. So for me, I felt like that was a direct message from God. Like everything's gonna be fine. Keep believing in me. Keep your focus on me. And all of the visions that I've given you is for a reason. That's what you need to go do. So
Mm,
that's where it's like, okay, I might not have the support. I might not have somebody to look up to give me the formula on how to do things. I might not, know all the answers like you just said, but I'm gonna put myself in positions where I can learn from somebody else who is already in the field or in the industry that I want to be in or already has that success. And that's what I did. I always ask for help. That was the biggest thing. Always asking for help. Like somebody will help you. I promise you. You got to get to a point to where you just ask. Like close mouth don't get fed. And that's what happened for me. Where it's like I just kept having bigger ideas. Like I put myself through college. My parents couldn't help me with school, which is also a big thing as far as why I do what I do now. Because when my dad had his stroke, they also had what's called a buyout at his job. So they
mhm,
paid him because they were going to be closing that branch as far as the company he was working for. So he
mhm.
wasn't under any company benefits or anything. So usually, you would get a portion of your income if you have a long-term disability, but he didn't have that because he wasn't employed at the time. So he had to wait, a while to get any kind of income from Social Security. And that was a situation where my mom had to clear out all her retirement accounts. She was having to figure out how to work extra. And then it's just, keeping up with all the bills on top of medical bills on top of that. And 2 kids that she was taking care of. And I'm in a completely different city, so I just got to fend for myself. So I can't put that on her. And that's where I had to really believe in myself. Like, literally, it was a situation where I had to look myself in the mirror and realize that anything in life is not going to happen unless I go get it. I can't count on nobody else to do what I need to have done for my life. Nobody else sees what I see for myself. So if I see that for me, like, I'm the person in the driver's seat. I got to drive there. Like, it's not an Uber ride for life. Like, you have to be in the driver's seat. You know where you're going. You got to look at the map and see, okay, well, how am I going to get there? And, if you don't drive, you're going to stay in the exact same spot. So that's what I realized for myself is ever since I was growing up, since I was a little kid on honor roll, like, always had dreams of college, always wanted to be educated. I worked my whole life up until this point of going to college, and I had a decision. Either you go to college or you stay home and take care of your family or help your family out. But it's like, it's only so much I can do. I'm 17 years old. Like, what am I? I'm not going to go make a whole bunch of money right now because people ain't even trying to hire me like that. So that was a big thing for me, was just realizing, like, you are in the driver's seat. You have to go. You're the maker of your destiny. Like, it's up to you to decide, like, what you want to see for your future. You have to challenge yourself. You got to be uncomfortable. That was the biggest advice my cousin ever gave me. He said, get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what successful people do. You stay in the comfort zone, you're going to have so much time pass you, and then you realize, like, oh, man, what have I been doing? What do I have to show for this time that has passed me? So that's like...
My bad.
No, you good. Go ahead.
And the way life worked, right? So you say that your pops had a stroke. I had did some research on you, right? That's why I asked that question. So we can carry the conversation like that. But what I came to learn is that things happen for a particular reason. When our back against the wall, now we have no other choice to figure out, okay, how can we do this? Where can we go? What can we do? Your pops had a stroke, and I'm sorry that he had a stroke, and I'm sorry that he had a stroke, but him having a stroke was probably the best thing for you, because now you became more aware of yourself, right?
Absolutely. So that could happen.
You see what I'm saying? Like, what I came to learn, every time we face some type of adversity, some type of hardship, some type of difficult time, it's for a reason. It's for a reason, right? And I say this because back in 2020, I had a 2013 BMW. Craziest mistake I ever made. I would never get a BMW again. But it was used, of course. But the thing about the BMW, it kept being in the shop. So after I get it 1 week, I got to take it back the next week. And once I get it again, I got to take it back again. So now it's constantly draining my pocket, draining me and my wife current situation. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? First off, I got this car. This car is completely wrong. Okay, I need to get rid of this. I need to get rid of this. And then I learned. I'm like, okay, I felt the weight on my shoulders, bro. At the time I was married. Then I was in the military. So this was like a couple years prior to me getting out the military. Well, a couple years ago. I'm still in the military, but I get out this year. Transition, thinking what I want to do, trying to figure out myself. But it's like everything come and hit you. It really hits you, bro. I promise you, so hard. It hit me to the point to where it was a song by Anthony Hamilton. He was playing. And he said, "Cool." It was like, we ain't got to worry about the money. We gonna be good because we just love each other. I'm like, bro, you feel me? But I cried. But when I cried, the weight was on my shoulders. It was lifted off. My back was. You feel me? Like, my back was against the wall. So what do I need to do in order to transition and grow from this? Bro, I started learning about real estate. I started reading. I started like really putting myself out there to see, okay, something's out here. I don't know what it is. I don't know where I'm gonna get it from. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but something's out here. I know my current state of life. I don't like it. You feel me? I like the quote that your cousin said. Hold on. Let me get it right. You said your cousin said, dang, it was a good one. It was a good one. Not if you don't ask for help, it's not gonna come to you. it was a good quote that your cousin said, something about being difficult, something about being
Yeah,
hard.
you gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's the one. That's
Mm-hmm.
the one. When I learned the purpose of this, of that saying, I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, who wants to do that?
That's what I said. I didn't understand it when you first told me. I was like, what does that mean? That's so backwards. That's an anomaly right there. Like, what is it? What is it? What do you want me to
Bro.
do?
At that time, it's up to us to either to deep dive and learn more about this. Okay, what does this mean? How can I implement this in my life? How will it help me? Will it help me? I don't know. I just have to know that I have to keep learning, keep putting myself out there to change the trajectory of my life. When I met y'all at the Grant Cardone Mastermind, bro, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
It sure was.
What was your biggest intake from it?
My biggest intake from it was exactly what you had just said, as far as not knowing how you're gonna get where you're going, but just being able to put yourself in the on the course of getting to that destination. And that's what it was for me. Like, so, like I was saying at the event, I joined a business club, a private business club for different leaders and business owners in San Diego community. And the reason why I did that was because when I first started my first business when I was 22, like I said, in Fresno, I had joined a business club. I had gotten invited into one of those from a realtor that I was friends with. And it was a mastermind, but also opportunity where we'd meet every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., have breakfast at one of the business owners' restaurants, which was cool too, because he owned the restaurant, but he was also part of the mastermind. And we would provide each other leads. And that's how I got my business off the ground in Fresno, because I didn't have a lot of clients out there. A lot of the people I knew were students. So it's like college kids ain't got no money to be doing the kind of work that I was doing. And a lot of times it wasn't a priority for them. So I got into this mastermind, youngest person in there, probably only 2 black people in there. And it was an opportunity for me to grow, but also be uncomfortable, because it's like, I don't know none of these people in here. I got to get out of my comfort zone as far as meeting them, being able to build rapport, being able to understand their stories, what they do and why they do it. And then at the same time, it's like they were just also happy that I was there, because youngest person, and they're just like feeding into me. They're like, you know what, like, we want to help you type thing. And that's what it is. The strangers will help you more than the people that you closest to. And that's
Say that again. Say that again.
Strangers will help you more than the people you are closest to. Every single time. And that's how I grew my business. Word of mouth was how it would travel. I do work for a complete stranger. They would put me on to all these different people that they feel would value and benefit from the work that I was doing. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And it was a situation where with the biggest takeaway from that event was me just putting myself in that environment, and then being able to get personally invited into Grant Cardone's event, where, we're in a room full of influencers, millionaires, billionaires, and, I wasn't even planning to be there. It was just, I was in the right place, at the place that I had mentally known, like, I don't know who I'm going to meet here. I just know that I'm going to meet somebody that's going to put me in position, and I can do vice versa. I can help them get into position as well. And that day was one of those times where it's like, yep, I made the right choice. I'm supposed to be in San Diego, supposed to do, everything I'm doing. And that's another thing I didn't tell you. I forgot to mention. I had gotten to a point where I started touching 6 figures with my business. And then I got offered a position to become a partner at my firm here in La Jolla. So I stopped everything at the best point that I had been in my business. And it takes time to grow, which I knew was like, okay, I've seen how this thing built over time. Started in my trunk out of my car, scared to ask people for $35, to getting to the point to where it's like I'm asking people for $4,000 on one job. And that's where I got to. But I left it to get into finance because of the bigger impact that it would be able to make in people's lives. And a lot of people thought I was crazy for it, but it's like the car stuff was for me. Like it served its purpose. I needed that to help me finish college. That's why I did it. I love cars. I have a passion there. But as far as my purpose goes, which you were talking about too, everything coming full circle, my purpose is way bigger, because everything led right back into financial planning. My parents didn't have a financial plan as far as after my dad's stroke. There was nothing in place to protect us from that. There's no income protection there. So, if he did have something in place, whole situation would have been different, but I can't say that my story would be the same either. And going into, college planning, that's something that I really, help a lot of parents out with, because a lot of times they don't, it's an area that a lot of people just don't understand. So being able to provide insight and, information for someone who has done it themselves at a young age, also major. I do business planning, even helping people brainstorm, like, what are some of your ideas that you have for a business? Why do you think that this is something that can work? And what are the possible hiccups that you see that can come along the way? Just being able to walk through that. A lot of times people won't sit there and just talk to you, but I've had plenty of people that just sat there and talked to me. And then just from being able to have that conversation, I went back home, had time to meditate on it. And, some of the best ideas came from me being able to bounce ideas off of somebody else and them just being like, this is something you can do. Just believe in it. A lot of times people, you just need somebody believing you until you get to the point where you start believing in yourself, because now you got a track record of going after something and accomplishing it.
I agree. And I love the fact that you even just described it in that way, because what I came to learn at the mastermind, bro, because to be honest, I didn't know it was a invite only type of event, bro. I seen a ad on Twitter. It was like Grant Cardone coming to San Diego, and he had the name of it. I'm like,
yeah,
copy, paste, filled it out, right? So I get there, and a guy named Anthony, I can't remember his last name, but the guy was sitting beside. He asked me, "How did you get invited?" I said, "I didn't get invited. I just filled out a flyer." I said, "How'd you get invited?" He told me Grant Cardone invited him. I'm like, "Oh, must be nice. Must be nice."
Yeah.
But I didn't put two and two together. So I'm looking behind me. I'm like, hold on. It's a lot of people, a lot of successful people in there. That man said that the room was 1.5 billion with the B, billion dollars.
Not including himself. Not including himself.
No, I'm like, what? And it was crazy because he made a statement. He said, "Man, I don't want to be our friends." And he said, "I want to do business with y'all first and then actually become friends." I'm like,
yeah.
That's why he's a billionaire.
Facts.
Understanding, like, okay, it took him 10 years to say, okay, we need to collaborate rather than doing everything with myself. What?
That was my biggest takeaway too. Bro.
When I tell you, like, the whole event, whole conversation, like from him, Elena, from everybody speaking, from everybody asking questions, I'm like, bro, this is phenomenal. This is phenomenal. So the way I grew up in a single parent household, and she raised 3 boys by herself. My mama did a fantastic job, phenomenal job, but she would have never thought of this level. She, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not her fault because she wasn't exposed to it. But now, since I'm exposed to it, how can I bring it back and say, okay, this is what we're growing. This is how we're gonna grow. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we need to do, and this is why. Right?
Exactly.
My mama taught me when you treat people right, things happen. When you put yourself out there, people want to help you. My mentors, bro, Mike Imbriglio and Steve Anderson, bro, they taught me so much about real estate. Because I was putting myself out there to even seek the help. You made a statement earlier about putting yourself out there at the right time. But see, that's the thing. I did it without the fear of knowing I'm going to meet these people, right? These people are like my family, my brothers. They didn't help me, bro. When I tell you, they taught me so much about sales, about real estate, about how to be organized, about CRMs, about marketing, bro. Like, if you don't do this to the T, you won't be successful.
Facts.
If I didn't take that time to be inconsistent on the process, but still start the process, I would never be in the right place at the right time in order to grow.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, things happen for a particular reason. Now I don't question them. I do not question anything. I seen the ad, I went. You feel me? Yeah. Then I was talking to a guy named Taro. I can't remember his last name, but he was like, "Man, I'm gonna tell Pace. I'm in his mentorship as well." He was like, "I'm gonna tell Pace that you stuck in here." He was, Then I realized, I was like, "Oh, when he introduced you to somebody that he knows, it's like a deeper connection because they can remember you." I'm like, "Bro, what?"
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's just crazy how that works. It's crazy how it works, and you can't make it up. You really can't make it up. Like, it is what it is.
Now, if somebody can make it up, now listen, you're a phenomenal storyteller, you know, and, and that's what happens, right? When we start to put ourselves out there, things start to happen. When I start going to meetups, start going to networking events, getting in these different rooms, I'm the youngest one. 9 times out of 10, it's a small portion of black individuals that's there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, why is it that, you know what I'm saying, we all can't be in this room? It's the lack of education. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the lack of education, lack of resources to even say, okay, I can be here, but how can I be here? You feel me? Like just that mindset just flips so much because now we see what's possible. We see we can become a person and even have the same status of what we dream or even think of.
Yeah.
For somebody that's in the process of finding themselves, right? Or starting their journey, what advice would you give for a beginner?
Write things down. That's the biggest thing that I can tell anybody is write things down. Because how many times you go through a day and you have 3 million thoughts that ran through your head, you're not gonna remember every single one of them. I promise you. And that's a big thing that helps me is since I was probably in the 7th grade, I've always made a vision board. Even if it was like, oh, I'm just gonna get on honor roll this year, get straight A's, whatever, I would write that down before it's time to even start on that journey. So that's something that I would do every year is just go in before the year starts and think about, just kind of do a recap. What happened last year that was good, that I was happy of? What are some things that I want to change? And kind of collect your thoughts on that and then see, what do you want to be different in this next coming year or even this next coming month, this next coming week? They say want to get 1% better every single day. And that's real. But in order to have that, long-term growth, you got to know where you're headed. What do you want to do? What are you looking at? What are you interested in? What are you passionate about? A lot of times people, can be passionate about something, but they hesitate from it because they don't think it's going to provide, the income or the resources that they need. And another thing too is I feel like a lot of people let go of their imagination at a certain point. Like you go your whole entire childhood, you know, being just watching adults, seeing what they do, what the world looks like, depending on how it's been exposed to you, and you create all these dreams because they're things that you see that you want for yourself, but might not be present in your everyday reality. So dreaming and thinking of that stuff is what you would ideally like to have your future look like. But at some point along the way, we let go of that, and then we get into adulthood, and it's like you go pretty much 18 years of your life just being told what to do, what you can't do. And then when you do have that freedom, it's like we don't chase after the same goals and dreams that we have had this whole entire time. And it's like, yeah, there's a reality that you're an adult. You got to be responsible. You have to, take care of yourself in certain tasks and responsibilities. But at the same time, don't let go of your childhood imagination that you've had this whole entire time. That creativity, don't let that die. You got to put the two together. How can I be creative and responsible at the same time? And that's how businesses are formed. This is something I like. I love cars. Okay. Everybody has a car. Everybody's going to need something done to their car. Might not everybody, but somebody's going to need what I'm offering. And the other thing that I always look at too is just from a business mindset is anything that you would spend money on, you can now provide a service for somebody else. You just got to switch the mindset. Go from instead of being a consumer to a producer. And now it's like you get the best of both worlds because you're doing something you love, but you're also taken care of. And every day don't feel like working. That's the biggest thing for me is like once I understood that, I never went back to doing something I wasn't passionate about or I didn't like. I'm not gonna spend my time on that because I know it's not gonna provide me with any joy. It's just gonna make me frustrated. I'm not gonna be able to be there for the long term. And that's it. That's really what it came down to for me was write things down, be intentional, challenge yourself. That's another thing. And, surround yourself also with like-minded people. Like me being able to talk to you, can't have this conversation with everybody. But when I'm out here talking to people who are, business-minded, who are growth-minded, who have, a story to tell, who've been through some things, and, you came out on top and you're looking to be successful and you're young and you know that that's your future, you can't stop that. That's where minds are collaborated and you're able to create something even bigger. But it all starts with, being able to constantly have that attraction of growth that you have. And just by writing things down, something will come from that. It could be the simplest thing, like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna clean my room today. Look at that paper. If that's the only thing on your list, I promise you're probably gonna get that room cleaned that day. But it's up to you. You have a choice. I watched this YouTube video or just this reel, and it said everybody wakes up with a chance and a choice. What you do with that is
I think it was a decision and a choice, wasn't it?
well, a decision and choice will be like the same, I feel. But a chance is like being able to have that opportunity to make those choices. Every day is a new opportunity. It's up to us to do what we want to do with it. Everybody got the same 24 hours. And that's how I look at it too. It's like we all have the exact same amount of time in our day. It's really up to us with how we spend that time. So you really can't be mad at nobody else if you're not producing the results that you want for yourself. You got to look within and see, like, you know, what do I need to do different? What do I need to change? Can't be mad at nobody else about that.
My bad. I just interrupted you.
Oh, no. I'm not okay. I'm good.
And you say a lot of us stop dreaming, right? It's not cool. It's not cool to dream no more. We too grown to dream. Like, man, listen. When I start to learn, in order to be successful, you have to have a dream and then focus on that dream each and every day. These books, these people that I'm speaking with right now, I'm currently rereading Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
In order to create the life that you want, you have to see it in your mind. You have to see it in your mind and take that leap of faith. What's his name? Thomas C. Edison. I think that's his name. The one that worked with I can't think the one he worked with. But he ended up going on a train. So he was introducing himself. He was like, I'm Thomas C. Edison. I'm gonna be your business partner. I'm gonna be your business partner. Like he would rehearsing in the mirror and stuff like that. So he get there. Oh, it's a movie as well. It's a movie as well. They got it in the book, but it's a movie as well. So he get on the train. I think he had like 16 cents. He had enough money to get on the train, but he ended up catching the train, ended up going where he was going, and then he presented himself like, okay, we're gonna be partners one day. We're gonna be partners one day. And this is why, because I have a burning desire, right?
Yeah.
Having a dream is having a burning desire to be successful. You feel just that understanding. I'm like, what? We can dream and actually be successful? Yes. Let me ask you this, Elijah. You say that you took your business, that you made 6 figures in your business, right? What did it take for you to make that?
So, you know, when people say they work in 100-hour weeks and, you know, just constantly growing. So the thing is like I could have made my business bigger, but I didn't do any marketing at all. 0%, did no marketing. It was all word of mouth. And I was able to produce 6 figures from that. The biggest thing is consistency. I always kept showing up. I know a lot of people will start something and then they got a drought that comes in. They're like, oh, I don't want to do that no more. But I stuck through it. And even if it meant that, okay, like I'm still going to be detailing and go get another job, I'm still going to be doing what I'm building right here because it's in the growth process. So at one point, I was just hustling. Like I was working graveyard shifts. So I'd work from, like 2 a.m. up until either between 10 a.m. and noon. And then after I got off of work from there, I would do detailing until the sun went down. And then go to sleep for like 5 hours, 6 hours, and be right back up again at 6 a.m. Or not 6 a.m., but 2 a.m. to get to work. And the biggest thing was just continuously sticking with it. As I kept sticking with it, there was just more production that I was able to make because of the progress, and then also just being able to continue to perfect my craft. So I would invest in more equipment to do higher end jobs because I had the cash flow that was coming from it. But the money that I was making, I would always put right back into the business. So it's like either buying equipment, buying another truck, buying a trailer, you know, being able to make sure I got money to put gas in the car so I can go to further jobs if I needed to. Training myself to expand, like getting into, you know, more services that I can offer. But the biggest thing is like I just very much was obsessed with the idea of my business because that's what I wanted to build and that's what I enjoyed. So a lot of times people will come to me like, oh, do you do this or can you do that? And it's like they're presenting me with a problem that I could solve. And like, do you know somebody that does this? And I'm like, no, I don't know somebody that does this. I saw it as an opportunity for me to be that guy. And that just made the business continue growing. So the biggest thing I could say as far as business goes is anytime you can solve a problem, you have a business idea. That's really what it comes down to is if you can solve a problem for somebody, you know, oftentimes there's more people that have that same problem that need solving.
And and you said that earlier about finding a problem and having a solution to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
As I was going through my divorce this past couple of months,
I'm sorry to hear that.
I learned. You said what now?
I said, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh man, no, man, it's bad, but you know everything that's drastic or you know what I'm saying that really hurts or difficult to accept, it
Yeah,
betters you because it makes you
true.
more conscious of who you are. So I really appreciate that for sure. But I learned that a lot of people have the same similar problems. You might not be getting a divorce. You feel me? You might had something, you know, something happened to you or something was done to you or you went through something or whatever the case is. Whenever there's a problem, you went through something, somebody's currently dealing with this.
Yeah,
So I'm like, that's what sales is. That is what a business is. When you have a problem and you have the solution, you can create a business out of there and just solve the problem. Like,
absolutely.
what? And that's amazing, man. Because a lot of people will see, okay, you made six figures, but a lot of people also want to know what it took for you to make six figures. That's why I asked that question because yes, showing up every day is vital, is very important. But the thing about showing up, it takes a lot from you,
It
right?
does.
Your passion has to be more prominent than anything. You feel me? And that's why I'm super happy that you even achieved that because now you see what you're capable of becoming.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're right on that. Like it's a lot of times I had to, you know, not show up to certain events or, you know, I'm working on the weekends, I'm working on Sundays, I'm working late on a Friday night when everybody else is just out having a good time. But you know, I also developed that habit when I was in college because it's the
Mhm.
same thing. That's the biggest party you could go to. Being in college, you always every single day, it could be every day of the week. There's an opportunity to go out and have some fun. And
Yep.
it was the point to where it's like, you know, I know that the decisions that I'm making today are going to impact tomorrow. So the only way I'm going to get to where I'm going is if I make the right choices today. And that's what it came into is like, you know, what's more important? Going out and possibly sacrificing being sick tonight, being hungover tomorrow, you know, passing up this opportunity to, you know, take care of somebody. Because the other thing too is you never know who you're talking to. So
Yep.
even putting yourself in those positions where, you know, you are showing up, like I said, you never know who you're talking to. Somebody can come into that same space that you're in, or you can cross paths with somebody that leads you into another destination that you're looking to get to, and it can all be just because you showed up. If you didn't show up, you don't know how many opportunities you can block by not making those responsible decisions
Yep.
and just being
And that's
dedicated.
dedicated and disciplined.
And discipline is the biggest word. Man, man. And that's something
Oh
everybody should do. I promise you that
yeah.
this is the
It,
most
it
important thing.
it is the most important thing, and that's where a lot of people really messed up. Because you made a statement earlier about just if you got one thing on your list that you're gonna clean up your room, you gonna get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
These small disciplines they compound over time to show you that you can do anything once you're focused, once you're dedicated, once you're aware of where you're going. Right?
Absolutely.
It's scary. It's scary,
Yeah.
but it's needed. It is needed. It is. Oh my goodness. So Elijah. So how can people work with you, get in contact with you if they want to do some type of business with you?
So you can email me, and I don't think I well my webpage to put it. You're gonna have that in the link in the
Yes, it's
bio.
in the link.
Yep. So you can reach out to me like that. Phone number should be in there. That's on my webpage and everything. The other thing too is like a lot of people don't have the knowledge. I work with a company that is private, so we meet by appointment only. So that's another thing where it's like out of 20,000 advisors that we have in our company, I'm also with the Fortune 100 company. So we're Fortune 78. We got $642 billion of assets under management. Number one financial planning firm in the country. But out of the 20,000 people that work for the company, only 4% are Black. So for me, even a bigger impact is this is information that we do not have as a culture. Our company's been around for 165 years. And 165 years, what that look like for us. So it's one of those things, like you said, we don't have the knowledge. But reach out to me, if you're interested in any kind of financial planning, if you're trying to figure out, how to create wealth for your family, generational wealth, how to put yourself in a better position, even just understanding how credit works, how you can, optimize your cash flows to make sure that you got extra money coming in each month, and then allocating those extra dollars so that they're growing for you. We do everything with that. And then, just the easiest way to reach out to me is send me an email, send me a text message, get sit down, have a meeting. All consultations are free also, so it don't cost you nothing to sit down with me. And it's a priceless amount of information that you can have. So that's the biggest thing that I do, why I do, because everybody deserves to have the information. From there, it's up to you what you do with it. I can't do that for you. But if you have the knowledge, if you know better, you do better. That's how I said.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of, sitting down, taking some time to learn something new, because a lot of times I sit down with people or, I reach out to people and they think that they're, in a good situation, that they're taken care of. But then I have people on the opposite side that are 56 years old, 60 years old that are reaching out to me. And at that point, they're trying to retire, but they haven't put anything to their retirement plan yet. And it's like, I'm not a magician. I can't work magic in those situations. So it's like being able to talk to as many young people as I can so that they can understand, the importance of starting early. Smaller sooner beats larger later. That's the biggest thing that I can tell anybody. So if you wait, keep putting time off, it's not going to be the biggest benefit. But, it's literally free to sit down. And it's all information that we as a culture, as a community, oftentimes lack. So that's the biggest thing as far as why I do what I do too. Because it's bigger than me, bigger than all of us. Like, this is stuff that can impact 3 generations to where, your family might have a certain lineage or a certain history as far as how things have gone, but you could be the person that changes that. And that's the people I like to work with, the ones that want to change the path for their family and their next generations. That's what we're here for.
And that's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing as well, because it start with us, but it's not going to end with us, right?
No.
So how can we gain this information, put it out to the world, and then when you have the information, you do as you please with it. When you know better, you do better. Just like you said, when you know better, you do better. But until you're willing to know better, you won't do better.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Oh! You gotta put that in a book somewhere. That's a quote of the day.
That's the quote of the day.
That's the one right there.
Man, this conversation has been great, man. So before we end, I have one segment, and it's called Best for Last. So I ask 4 last questions in the last part of the conversation, and just answer with a quick explanation.
All right.
So the first question: how do you keep your composure?
I keep my composure by understanding, one, that I'm a Black man in America, a big Black man in America. So as far as keeping my composure, I realize that, yes, I have emotions. Yes, I have feelings, but also people are going to perceive me in a certain way if I don't keep my composure. And that could be a situation that, puts my life at risk, because I could go to jail. I could have anything that comes from it. I also grew up in sports. So football, you had to keep your composure. I don't care if you want to talk somebody in the face because they came at you wrong. You can't do that. So that's just one thing that I've always had that training. And I just understand that, it's kind of put me in a position sometimes where I just make sure that I'm looking at the outcome and seeing, okay, if I keep my composure, I'm kind of the stronger person in the situation, rather than giving you the reaction that you want from me.
To even go a little bit deeper right there, know your audience.
Know
your audience and who you're speaking with. Because I'm going to get back to the question, but I had to say this part because you really brought up a very important statement. By us being African American males, we have to understand we have to we have to look at our audience and see how do we need to present ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It was so hard for me to do that. It was so hard for me to do that. And you remember I told you I'm in real estate, right?
Yeah.
So the demographic is an older generation. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't own that many properties. We as a culture don't own that many properties. So how can I know my audience and say, okay, I want to buy your house. If you don't want to sell it, okay, cool. If you do want to sell it, here's what I can provide. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
now you feel me, just that, just know your audience, know yourself so
Yeah.
you can know your audience, and then just go like that. So I had to put that out there too.
Yeah, that's it. That's great. That's good.
Then the next question, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for all the experiences, the exposure that I've had. My parents, they took us traveling when we were young, so I've got to see the world. I've got to see. I've been very much of a self-aware person too, so I always am grateful for seeing, not only the people that are in the positions that I want to be in, but also seeing the
Mhm.
positions or people in the positions I don't want to be
That's
in, and
true.
being able to see like, okay, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever you do, like you have to own that.
Yeah.
And it goes back to it's all up to you as far as how those outcomes come. And
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest things that I'm grateful for is because a lot of people aren't aware and they don't look at the world like that. So, but that's been one of the things that has continuously put me in better positions.
Powerful, powerful. What do you regret?
I don't have much regrets, but I do regret not believing in myself enough when I first started my business. It took me a lot of time to believe in myself because I was looking at other people for validation, other people for support, the closest people around me. And that was something that hindered me and it kind of stopped me in my tracks oftentimes because it's like, the closest people to you think that they would be the ones wanting to support, the greatness and the new ventures that you're going after. And I let that be something that hindered me for a while until I got to the point where it's like, you can do business with anybody. It don't have to be the people that's closest to you. And that's something that I regret because it kind of put a little damper as far as in my growth process, but it was absolutely something that I needed to where, now I'm in a city, I don't know nobody. Like I moved out here and did not know anybody, but I'm thriving. I just got awarded, having one of the most thriving financial planning practices with our company as far as being a person in
Congratulations.
the first year. Thank you. And
Congratulations.
that's that's something that I had to do differently from my previous business into this one. It's like, don't look at everybody else. You're here. You need to focus. So
Mm.
one of my regrets was just not having that earlier. But honestly, I don't have any regrets. But if I
Okay.
did, that was one of them.
Okay. And then to even add on to that, open your horizon of who you're doing business with. Just because you're
Absolutely.
one company doesn't mean you have to do business with just one specific group. Man, listen, I'm a people person. If you want to do business with me, let's talk. I don't
Let's
care what you
talk.
look like. I don't care what you sound like. No, let's talk. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then I know you gotta go last but not least. Favorite question of them all. What does failure is knowledge mean to you?
Failure is knowledge means that you have two options in life. You can learn from your mistakes or you can become bitter for your mistakes. The people who never learn from their mistakes are always often the people that are not going to be progressing. They don't have any growth. They've been in the same position that they've been their whole entire life because they couldn't figure out that instead of this being a learning experience, they took it as punishment, and then they want to mope and soak in that. And that's the reason why they haven't had any new changes in their life because they couldn't take the lesson and the wisdom out of those situations. And failure is a great thing. You need failure in your life because that's the best teacher that you can have. And it only shows you something or opportunity to see what's a better way for me to do this next time so I don't run into this problem again. But if you keep
Mm.
touching the stove and burning yourself and looking at your hand wondering why it keeps burning because you're doing the same thing, that I don't know, that's natural selection at that point. But you have to be able to take knowledge out of each and every failure like every single time. Even like you said, like you started out with car detailing, car washing, and you didn't do research because you were just like, oh, I'm gonna get into this. But once you started doing research, you realize, oh, I'm undercharging these people, and that could have been a failure. But the second that you got that knowledge, you automatically just increased your own value and your worth because
Mhm.
you knew that the service that you're providing was something that could be better than what you had originally thought it could be. But you learn from that. Failure would have been staying there and not making no changes. But failure is knowledge. That's wisdom.
That's wisdom. Ooh. Elijah, man, this has been great, bro. This has been great. Drop
Likewise.
what's your social media so people can follow you on there.
So my Instagram is Elijah Jordan _S. And then my website is in the bio also. feel free to send me an email, shoot me a text. Love to sit down with anybody that's looking for the information. And, it's free game. It's free game.
Man, hopefully y'all got as much value as I got from it, man. If y'all didn't, just rewatch the whole conversation. Then you'll get the value that I got. You feel?
Absolutely.
But make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend or two, and then just keep being yourself, keep going, and keep finding yourself, and always keep faith. Thank y'all. Hold on, Elijah.